Hello, and welcome to What Am I Doing? The Dungeons & Dragons podcast where one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey, and my ridiculously inadequate pod partner is McCaffery.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you very much. Eventually, I'll get a cue so I don't have to look a mile away to read this.
This isn't the fourth time we were trying that.
It's not. It's
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Hopefully you can't see the screen either to see what today's topic is.
I mean, we both know I can't read.
That's true. More importantly, well, no, kind of the topic makes sense for you not being able to read, actually. Yeah, we've already done a session on books as well, so it's not
true.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what this is.
Is it laws?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
How's your week been, first?
It's been alright, you know.
Yep.
Obviously, we played D&D last night. It was very fun. Yeah?
Yes.
I hope you had a good time.
I played a friendly terrorist.
Yeah, it was great.
Pretty much a friendly terrorist.
Yeah. I mean, it was wonderful until you decided to blow an old man up for no reason.
He was not giving us evidence. He was
an innocent
decoy.
He was an innocent bystander.
He was nosy. He tried to interrogate us, but didn't have any answers. Didn't have nothing to give back, nothing to reciprocate. Yeah. And if you don't reciprocate in D&D, you get blown up. That's the rules. I'm doing this like an Italian mob boss.
That's DMing 101.
Yeah, that's DMing 101. Alright, so, well, the one thing we didn't experience yesterday in D&D was wildlife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on wildlife. Do players need creatures big and small to set a scene? How does a DM employ wildlife into a session? And can they affect the state of play? Lewis.
Yes.
Drum roll, please.
I'm ready.
Drum roll. I've released 12 cougars into the only bathroom in our shared flat. But more importantly, I forgot to turn off the taps. How are you stopping a flood from happening? What am I doing?
You said 12 cougars, right?
Yes.
Then I'm ignoring any risk of a potential flood. I'm going up there and I'm having a good time.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You walked yourself into that one.
That's true, actually. I did fear. The friendly cousin of the mountain lion.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean... That's the same thing for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's all game.
Exactly.
It's all game for this guy. It's got a pulse. It's got legs.
Exactly. I'm going to play a druid in this situation.
Yeah.
Wild shape into a cougar and still have a good time. Yeah. That's my response to that.
To be fair, my partner saw a picture of a druid yesterday on D&D Beyond, and it was a pretty much naked man, a painting of a naked man huddling a bear, and she said, "What the fuck is going on there?" And I said, "Oh, yeah," and I said, "That's a druid. That's a druid. That bear's most likely a person." And I thought that would kind of break the situation down, going, "Oh, so it's probably like a partner or something." But then she quite rightly said, "Why the fuck do they need to be a bear when they're hugging?" So
that is true. Why
can't they just be the person?
Although, are you sure this was D&D Beyond?
Yes.
Are you letting us know something about your search history here?
No, I don't have a search history because I don't know how to internet.
Fair enough.
I've tried.
That's why.
Can't do it. That's why I'm on a podcast.
That's true. Yeah.
Can't do. Otherwise, it'd be an internet podcast.
Is it not?
Or a hub podcast.
A hubcast.
Yes. All right. Anyway, so you're just gonna fuck everything in the room. You're not.
Hey, I never said that.
You're not even turning the taps off.
No, I've not. I've gone in. If needed, I'll try and wild shape into a fish halfway through it. Okay. Yeah. That's my answer. That's what I'll do.
Fair enough. Okay. So question number 1: Druids and Rangers are the first classes that come to mind when I think wildlife. Are these the most prominent classes to use animals?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, today's question is
it's sadly coming to a close. No. Yeah. Obviously the first two druids, I'd say, being the number one because obviously wild shape, being able to transform into an animal, exactly, or fuck a bear or a cougar in my case. And yeah, ranger obviously. I think is it like beast companion? I can't remember what the subclass is called.
They do get companions.
Beastmaster. That's
Beastmaster.
it. Yeah. So you can have an animal.
Swarmkeeper. Little bits like that.
Yeah. Did you say small keeper then?
Swarmkeeper.
Oh, if they said small keeper, I was like...
What you keep is your business. But I'll remind you, this isn't anyone's internet search
No,
history.
That's true. I'm sorry.
This is D&D.
Yeah. I mean... But yeah, so those
Family friendly.
At times.
Not today.
No. But yeah, those two being the main ones. You obviously, there's nothing stopping other classes be involved with wildlife. It's like if you would consider certain familiars as wildlife. It's not necessarily, but a wizard could conjure using find familiar an eagle or something. Obviously,
we'll kind of break it down a bit, but I guess wildlife, as you stated, is a general term, really.
Yeah.
We did talk about companions before, so I guess in that sense, familiars would come under that to a point, and I'm sure there's plenty of people on who play D&D who would willingly shout at me right now.
Probably
that even that's wrong. But that's D&D for you.
Exactly, and that's us. We're not often right.
We're never right.
No, we're always left.
Always. I have nothing funnier to say than that. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm crying. Like
a
Native American watching his casino be built across the fields.
Oh my god.
Where his family once lived. Now he is rich.
How have we gone from mentioning books at the start to cougars to...
That's what we do.
Native American
well, the last episode was dry.
Okay.
I was editing the episode.
You want to make this wet?
I'm making sure this is as wet as a fucking flannel. And we're going to get you there. That's what we do.
It is what we do.
That's why you're listening to the podcast.
Exactly.
Okay, so yes, they are the most prominent.
Yeah, definitely.
Classes, Druid foremost.
I'd say so.
Yes. Let's get into the second question, and as we said, we'll kind of break down slightly what you were going on about a minute ago. How do we implement wildlife into sessions? Is there a wrong way to do it? And by that, I'm thinking wildlife in the terms of if there is a druid or it might be any class or race that is kind of nature orientated. Or just player, and they want to look for tracks. They want to do all this fit. How do we implement wildlife into sessions so it kind of makes sense? It's not for the sake of doing it. How do we do that?
I think one thing I'll say is that you can always implement wildlife in any situation, and it'll kind of make a bit of sense. Obviously, it might not to your group, but let's say if your party is in the middle of a small town and then a bunch of cattle or a massive group of, like, I don't know, horses or dogs or anything run through the street. It might mean nothing to the session, especially in a campaign, but I think the thing to remember in those situations is that the D&D campaign or session you're running is its own active world, so there might be someone there who owns or breeds cattle or horses or something.
It makes more sense that they're there than that.
Then they're not.
Say that. They're not. Then they're not. Then they're not.
Yeah. So I can't read and you can't speak.
Well, I don't know how you. That's
I don't.
Yeah, but it makes more sense that they are there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Than if they weren't. There we go.
But yeah, so you can always include them as long as you as the DM know why you're doing that or if there's a reason for it. But if you're doing it to further a session or further a campaign, I think the main thing to do is know your environment. So if you're in the middle of a forest, why would like a house cat be there as an example? Like,
if there is, then it must have a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, don't just throw things in for the sake of it for that, but a good one to do, like I said, is if you're in the middle of a forest, find some deer tracks or something. You might see something like that, or horse tracks.
The environment is your friend.
Exactly.
If it's something that is obscure, like you said, the house cat in the forest, then you must infer or imply that there is a reason for it to exist there, because people are going to question it.
Exactly.
It's
and
odd.
The thing is, even if no one does question it, like, again, as long as you as the DM understand why you've done that, because obviously you can always throw in random scenarios that really have no explanation behind them. That cat might have just gotten lost or fallen off the back of a wagon.
Yeah.
But as long as players are able to find that out if they wish to, because as soon as you start adding stuff that has no explanation, makes no sense, that's when it starts to it feels like filler.
See, to me, I think from the get-go, if there's stuff like that and I'm questioning it and then it turns out to not be anything, then I think that's just pretty bad DMing.
Yeah.
Because I expect more, but if I'm thinking it, everyone else is probably thinking it.
Yeah.
And it's lazy to just be winging it to that point. Yeah. A lot of Dungeons and Dragons is you could write a session, you might not write your session and go into it, but you're going to have to wing it at some point, right?
Yeah,
and that's fine. If you're just creating entire characters or moments that have no reason or resonance for characters to get involved, I don't get why.
I get it. Yeah, I think that's more for me. That's more the case in one shots or smaller campaigns than big ones, because, like I said, in a large campaign, you might encounter things like that don't mean anything, and are just the NPCs
random
living
events, random encounters.
Exactly. Yeah, are just the NPCs living their lives. But I think if you're just going to constantly do that, especially in a one shot, that's when it gets a bit.
You're really having to focus on getting us to the end of this.
Exactly.
So adding things in that stall that is a no-no.
It's a no-no. It's a bad thing.
From Colo.
Or Volo.
Oh, I mean, we're Colo.
Yeah. Are we?
Colu.
Oh.
I was trying to.
Let's move on, shall we?
A bit. Okay. Do animals need to be a threat in order to be involved?
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, you can use animals in so many different ways. Like we've said, tracking. You could be looking for a lost house cat. Like I said, you could have them as a threat. Or let's say if you do have a druid or a ranger or any other class that is especially favourable or interested in the well-being of animals. For example, a druid that belongs to a certain, like the Emerald Enclave or whatever they're called.
Like factions.
Exactly, yeah.
Groups.
If they're in a faction that wants to preserve the environment and protect nature, and they find a group of hunters that are going out of their way to exterminate a local, collection of deer, to wipe them out of the area, then they're not a threat. They're actually the prey. They're being hunted.
Yeah.
And your party, especially the druid or a ranger, might use that as an opportunity to start their own one shot, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Start their quest.
Exactly.
There's a reason for a goal that they want to achieve. That's within. It's not the goal for the party, but it's something that's aligned to the character.
Exactly, and that's why I think sometimes having random things, especially in a campaign, like a random animal appearing, if it means nothing, but players will almost always find a way to make it mean something to their character.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, which I know a lot of people don't like when DMs do this. I think it's fine, especially in a big campaign, if your player suggests something or if they do something that spurs some loads of quests and lore and activities, I don't know, that you as a DM didn't plan for, that's fine. You're allowed to adapt to the campaign as you go.
To be fair, unless they're completely sidelining what you had planned for them, so it kind of ruins the end goal, the end game. I think that's completely fine. We're all side questing to a point, so it makes complete sense that that's the case.
100%.
Okay, so how do we keep wildlife involvement interesting? It's often a survival check to hunt through tracking. Is there a way that DMs can get wildlife involved that isn't just combat or you're tracking something to then skin it, or do you know what I mean? The typical very first thought thing. How do we make that more interesting?
Tell you what, one thing you could do pretty easily, actually, especially if you have a spellcaster that is able to cast Speak with Animals or things like that, you could have some kind of quest or series of quests that relate to getting to know the animals and protecting them in some way, shape or fashion. I think we've obviously spoken in the past, about NPCs and how a DM should remember that every NPC has a purpose in the world. That can be correlated to wildlife and animals as well. Every group of animals, especially let's go back to deers, for example, or deer, they will probably live in a herd, they'll eat together, they might hunt together, or whatever deers do, I don't know. But if you're able to speak with animals and speak to the deers individually, you may find out that they are under threat from some wolves or some humans or other races, for example. And I think a good series of quests might even just be to, like I said, get to know them and try and help the animals.
Give them more of a purpose than them just being something there.
Yeah, and I think
just existing.
Yeah, because I reckon most players, if they encounter an animal in the wild, they will see it as nothing. They will see it as an animal. Should we kill it for food?
That's it. It's always the survival check. Oh, you can hear, smell, you can track.
Exactly. So I think giving wildlife some personality could be very useful, especially if it's hostile. If you encounter some kind of wolf or direwolf, you're able to, I can't remember the name of the spell off the top of my head, but charm it in some way, make it passive, speak to it, and that wolf, even though it's been trying to kill you for a few sessions, might be just under the order of a higher wolf, something like that.
Different outcome.
Yeah, give the animals personality and them their own sense of self as well as NPCs. Yeah. I think that could be useful.
No, I think that's a really good answer, actually. Just making sure that you don't want it to be the same every time, because then you end up just not giving wildlife a purpose. You wouldn't bother putting them in because you go, I've already described that way of them encountering it. So,
exactly. Like you said, it's most characters or most players will see it and think, can we kill it for food? Are there any tracks for it? And a lot of times DMs might just throw it in, say, if someone looks for tracks, you see some deer tracks. It's well, where are the deer? What other animals are there? There must be some kind of ecosystem.
Okay, final question. Can you give a short and sweet scenario to which wildlife impacted your session?
Ooh, you know what, actually, I'm gonna, again, I feel like a lot of these episodes are me just like bigging up your Black Shores campaign.
Well, no one gets to fucking play it, so...
Yep, exactly. I think Samson, I believe his name was.
R.I.P.
Yep. Hey, we never saw him die, so he's going to come back.
Yeah.
So, Samson was a deer who was very close to our hearts, as the party's hearts.
The player's first time playing as a druid.
Yep, and we were walking towards this small town, had no idea how we got here, and no idea where we were, and we came across a random deer, and instead of attacking it, I think the druid managed to chat. I think it's animal friendship, the spell.
Yeah.
Cast that. It became friends, spoke with it, and it decided to follow us around and carry our halberd. So
it literally. Well, I think it was more than that. That was your best weapon.
Yeah.
But it was a weaponized deer. It was,
yeah.
Not on purpose.
It was basically we got a deer and duct taped weapons to it in the hopes that it would charge forward and kill everything.
In a town full of werewolves.
Yeah.
It somehow survived.
It did.
It did actually get attacked as well, but it did escape. Yeah. It was actually, thinking about it, I actually did quite a good job as a DM by making sure that...
Yeah.
No, I didn't even think about that, actually. Yeah, but it was actually a part of, 4 sessions?
Yeah.
Just a random deer.
That just followed us around.
It was weaponised.
Thing is, the deer was always present as well. Always in our hearts. And now... And then when we left this town, we basically got transported back to where we originally came from. But the deer did not follow us. So I'm convinced the deer will reappear.
End game boss.
Yeah, maybe Samson is a reincarnation of Miguel.
Oh.
And Miguel is a story for another time.
Oh, there's a whole episode on Miguel.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I hope so. I
Season
really
finale,
hope so.
Am I right? Yeah, okay. Well, seeing that means nothing to no one.
But before you end, what is your most memorable use of...
No, that I've not had much of an impact when it comes to animals, other than probably that. But I did recently create a Circle of the Shepherd Druid, who is a satyr.
Okay.
But I've asked if he could just be a goat.
Yeah.
And he only wild shapes into goats. So
and
he's
I cannot wait
useless.
to see it.
And his only power is that he can spawn more
goat.
And spawn more goats.
It's beautiful.
So completely irrelevant to D&D really, but
it's going to be magical.
People will hate me. Yeah, so there we go. All right, well, today's adventure is sadly coming to a close, but we're back again next week with the topic, how did Tolkien invent New Zealand? And will Gondor petition for better housing?
I hope so. They deserve better housing.
They deserve better. And as always, thank you for tuning in, and if you'd like to join in on the D&D action, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at WhatAmID&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Lewis McCaffery.
Good day.
Goodbye.